So what do you make of his account of things?
Aisha, after 43 days, this is the first time Adel Jubeir, the Saudi foreign minister, speaks to the media. Of course, he spoke before at the sidelines of a Bahrain conference, but this is the first time that he makes this kind of statement. And interestingly, he's speaking about concerns of Saudi Arabia over sanctions. He reiterated the idea of rogue killers, that these elements, the squad that was sent or dispatched to bring back Jamal Khashoggi from Turkey peacefully, they overstepped the order and they killed him. And he wants them to be held accountable, not all the system in Saudi Arabia. This is something interesting, that there seems to be some talks about sanctions to be imposed on the Saudi regime. On the other hand, this is the first time that we're listening to the Saudi officials confessing and admitting that Jamal Khashoggi was dismembered inside the consulate and his body was taken out. And then they spoke about the collaborator, the local collaborator, who they are going to bring his own approximate picture to Turkey. And this is the first time they're saying this. The body was dissolved, as they say. And also, it is interesting that this comes prior to the funeral, the symbolic funeral that is going to be held on Friday here in Turkey. All of these show a kind of a clear pressure that the international community, the international media and Turkey is putting on the Saudis to reveal whatever they have of evidence of the killers and who gave them the order, Aisha.
Well, Ahmed, I mean, the question remains, though, how credible is it what he's saying? Because, I mean, a journalist asked the same thing. Their version of how things occurred, how Jamal Khashoggi was killed, changed 3 times. So is it credible now to believe that he was killed with anesthetic injection, which the Turkish prosecutor has said he got strangled the minute he got into the Saudi consulate?
Aisha, the conflicting reports coming and conflicting rhetoric coming out from Saudi Arabia raises lots of questions. Now, sometimes they say that he left the embassy or the consulate, he was not killed. Later, they confessed or admitted that he was killed in a kind of a fist fight, and later on the rogue killer theory came to the surface, and now they're changing all of it, that they were misled by the team that they sent or dispatched to Turkey to bring him back peacefully. All these conflicting reports coming out from Saudi Arabia raise lots of questions about the credibility of the judicial system. Now, what Adel Jubeir, the foreign minister of Saudi Arabia, is reiterating now and then, that they are the ones entitled to prosecute these killers because they're Saudis, the victim was Saudi, and the crime was perpetrated on Saudi soil. But he forgets to say that it's Turkish soil here in Turkey. The Turkish officials are not willing to back down. What we heard from Yasin Aktay, the senior advisor of President Erdogan, saying that it seems that there are some efforts to cover up the crime, and Turkey is not buying into this. They are adamantly insisting that the Saudi officials should clearly state who gave the order, where is the body, and who is that local collaborator. These questions remain to be answered by the Saudis if they want to satisfy the international community, Turkey, with the transparent, independent investigation as they claim.
Well, another question there remains to me is that he said he compared this to terrorist attacks, that it takes time to find out the truth, but this happened in the Saudi consulate in Turkey on their own soil. So how true is that? And compared to, also he mentioned that Turkey didn't share some of the information that they asked 3 times, but Turkey so far has said that they have given all the audio recordings to several international players as well.
Aisha, Adel Jubeir is Saudi Arabia diplomatic guy, and he's known for his eloquence in terms of, like speeches. And he's the one he now is being brought again, along with Al-Walid ibn Talal, the famous businessman, to try to whitewash Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince, who is being allegedly accused of giving the order. Now, whether this is going to hold, I doubt it. It's very clear that MBS is the influential leader who always gives the order, and the guy they're speaking about, the deputy chief of the intelligence or the senior advisor, both of them, they were appointed by Mohammed bin Salman. They're from the close circle of the intelligence community and Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince. It doesn't make any sense. The whole story doesn't hold water when you say that they just overstepped the boundaries of the order to bring Jamal Khashoggi peacefully to Saudi Arabia. So trying to mix this with different stories, with other stories that happened around, and bringing in, by the way, interestingly, Iran of assassinating operations like this, and they escaped the accountability. To mix all the cards, I think this is not going to hold, and the international community is very clear. The international media is putting more pressure and they're asking for answers. This time it's completely different. It's an international story. It's not the same as autocratic regimes used to have the power over the channel, the medium, the message they sent. Now the platforms everywhere, and everybody is asking the questions. I think it's going to be so difficult for the Saudi officials to cover up unless they have a kind of help from the international community. It's so confusing that we are hearing from now to then some of the statements from the French a foreign minister or the British foreign minister who visited Riyadh, speaking about making sure that we don't want this kind of crime to happen again. But in order to prevent these crimes, first of all, you should hold the perpetrator accountable, and then you're going to be able to prevent that. So it depends on the international community to steadfast and continue practicing pressure till the whole truth is revealed, Aisha.
Well, thank you very much for that there, Ahmed Ali Olo. Let's now go to the Saudi consulate there in Istanbul, where